Awesome. Appreciate everybody being here. Start off first, and I know I said it after the game, but really grateful to our fans, really grateful to starting with our students, but our former players, and everybody else that came out Saturday night. I thought it was electric. It was awesome. It was really cool to play under the lights with a crowd like that on national TV again. Made a big impression. I think nationally made a big impression on this city. Certainly our guys felt it, and we're super grateful for it as we continue to build this program. My hope, our hope, is that that's the standard in terms of people coming out and supporting this team in the same way that our guys get out in the community and support them as well. In terms of the game, you know, I said it after the game, and I do, after going back and looking at it, it wasn't perfect. There was a ton that we've got to continue to clean up and continue to work through. But I thought as complete from the beginning to the end in terms of playing complementary football on all three sides. And when the offense wasn't doing great, the defense stepped up. Defense wasn't doing great, offense stepped up. I think the story of the game is really a couple of things. Offensively, the ability to start fast, the ability to steal a possession with the bunt kick, and the ability to convert on third downs. We were 50% on third down. We were 2 for 2 on fourth down. So the ability to keep the chains moving. I thought the exclamation point of it was the 97-yard drive, big third down conversion out of our own end zone, and to be able to march it down the field and go. We were able to get some other guys in the game there at the end, which was good. It was good to get Gaston in the game with the starters on the O-line and let him operate. But I thought positive. It was tough to run the ball early. I thought we got it going as we went. And I thought in a lot of ways we hit a rut there in the middle of the second quarter, but we're able to overcome it as we continued on the game. Defensively, I thought the story of the game was we were awesome on third down, and then we were about as bad as you could possibly be on fourth down, which we knew was going to be that type of game where they were going to go for it on fourth. But I think on a positive note, the ability to create a turnover, the ability to eliminate explosive plays. You look at it, we had 99 plays on defense and had 5 explosives. For an offense that thrives off of explosives, I thought really, really good job. Held them under a yard per carry, made them one-dimensional, and were able to get after the quarterback, affect the quarterback with the pressures and the sacks, and then eventually being able to get a turnover. You look at it on a special team side, we were able to create an extra possession. We were really, really poor in the coverage units, and it's been a focus here for the last couple of weeks. As guys get dinged up and other guys step up, the coverage piece can't be an Achilles heel, and it really has been for 2 weeks. And we go into the Memphis game here where you face another really, really dynamic returner, and it's got to be a huge part between the ability to punt and kick off and the ability to cover. That will at some point cost us if we don't get it fixed, and we've certainly poured a ton into it. So overall, that's basically the summary of the game. Offensively, creating explosives, being really good on third down, not turning it over, and then not making mistakes in terms of drop balls and negative plays, being efficient, and defensively, the flip of it, creating negatives, creating explosives, stopping the run, creating a turnover, and again, the third down piece was huge. So when you look at it, we got a ton of work to do. I think you look at our team right now, we're a little bit beat up. I think we're a little bit tired. It's been a stretch. And as I told them on Monday, absolutely nobody cares. And if that's the approach where we just put our hard hats back on and go right back to work, I will say this, the leadership of this team and the locker room in general is so aware of their surroundings, so aware of what's going on in terms of their teammates, the accountability in the locker room, the accountability to each other, the way they're working. They're so alert, aware. We just got done with a Tuesday practice, and the energy level was awesome. The attention to detail was awesome. And amongst things that we have to clean up, if our process can continue to be elite without any distractions coming in, the distractions being the accountability piece, the distractions being things that don't help us win, we'll have a chance to continue to go compete at a high level. So turning the page to Memphis, you know, a program that has done a really good job in this league over the last really 15 years, just been consistent in what they do. We haven't won there since 2016. So for us to be able to go on the road, play early, and do what we're supposed to do, we got some challenges ahead of us. We've got to be able to go finish this week in a huge way. They're a challenge to prepare for. You look at from a defensive side, different defensively than what we've seen a year ago. We jacked it up in about every imaginable way you could, and created so many problems for ourselves. But overall, a virtually new football team in terms of personnel. I think 2 or 3 starters come back in general. Defensively, 1 starter comes back. Everybody else is new. The one thing that they do is they play really hard on defense. Again, a challenge to get ready for just simply because of the structure that they play. And I think you look at it, we're 7 games in, top 20 in the country, or top 25 in the country in scoring defense and rushing defense, 8th in the country in takeaways, 14th in the country in tackles for loss. You put all of that together, unique structure. It'd be a big challenge for us as we prepare. You know, again, I think they play really hard. I think they get to the ball. They force takeaways. They play defense the way you're supposed to play defense. Offensively, kind of the same story. Average almost 40 points a game. They've got 20 whatever rushing touchdowns. They're averaging 222 yards per game rushing, which is a lot, and whatever it is, top 25 in the country. A really athletic O-line, an experienced O-line, although they aren't necessarily experienced there, but really athletic, really experienced. That wideout group between 4 and 9, they create a lot of issues for you. Fast, big, can run. You know, this program, I think, offensively has always been built around the run game. The 2 backs are phenomenal between Sutton Smith and 13. Like, those 2 guys run the ball the way you're supposed to. Both, I think, 400 yards and almost 500 yards rushing so far. The quarterback situation for them, I imagine, is fluid. The starter, I think, has done a really good job. Man, to get a kid that to come in and be a veteran presence, seems to have control of the offense, and I'm talking about Brendan Lewis. He's second on the team in rushing, completed almost 70% of his passes. He's done a really, really good job for him. I know got banged up last week. We'll see. We'll find out, I guess, when everybody else finds out if he's playing. They've really played both their backups. The Arrington Maiden came in the FAU game a little bit when Brennan got hurt, and then they went with the freshman A.J. Hill last week. A.J. we're familiar with, just right up the road recruiting-wise. Uber talented freshman, big, athletic, has a cannon, and came in and played in the second half of that UAB game for him. So there's some film there. But for us, we got to prepare, obviously, for all 3, which presents its own unique challenge. And it's going to start with stopping the run game and being able to affect the quarterback as it does every single week. So I think a really big challenge for us to go back out on the road. We've done it this year. That's the piece you get and the confidence you build, that we've gone on the road in really good environments and have been able to compete and do what we're supposed to do. But just like anything else, we flip the page and make it right back to about us and our process and our daily habits, and creating a sense of confidence through our preparation as we get through the week. I'm really, really excited. This one will be really, really fun. Go up there on Saturday morning. One, be able to play early. It'll be a little bit cooler than we're used to here, which will be awesome. always a great environment up there, and on national TV again. So we get to continue to go build our brand. We get to continue to go showcase to the country who we are. We get to continue to tell our stories through the way we play. And it's a really, really cool team right now. These guys are uber locked in. These guys are focused. I think a year ago, this game was so emotional for everybody. And my mind keeps flashing back to maybe as hard of a week as I've had in any sort of leadership role in my career. We lost Amir that week, the hurricane, all of that, and as emotional as it was, I'm just excited to continue to go here and have a chance to get back on the right path here and go compete at a high level on Saturday. So I'm excited. Our guys are excited. We got to go finish this week off the right way to have a chance to have success Saturday morning. So I'll open it up.
As you prepare for the quarterbacks, are Brendan and A.J. Hill two different animals or similar skill sets?
Yeah, well, one is a grown man that's played between Colorado, Nevada, and now at Memphis that's played so much football. He doesn't get sacked, can get out of trouble, looks savvy back there. Scrambles with his eyes downfield, has really good command. I mean, if you can complete 70% of your passes, I want to say it's 68 point whatever. Like, that's a highly efficient quarterback. Don't give up a ton of sacks. Provide him time to throw the ball, and then when things break down, the fact that he's able to scramble and create is something that a veteran generally can do. And he looks like a veteran back there. You can't trick him. It's way less disguising that you can do because he'll pick you apart if you're not in the right spot at the right time. I think AJ, if that's who they choose to go with, I feel like we recruited him for 3 years going back to my last spot. And we watched them so intensely. They ran a version of our offense in high school, and so we watched them so intensely over the years. I feel like I know him as well as anybody in terms of the player. Man, he is so athletic and so big and has such a big arm. I think obviously the experience piece is the one thing that no matter how much you practice, no matter how much you prepare, the experience, the situations, the ability to get through progressions, like all of that stuff comes with time. And I'm sure these guys do such a good job coaching. I'm sure he'll be as ready as anybody can be, but there's nothing that can replicate experience and in-game experience as we've all seen over the years. So our job will be to affect him as much as you possibly can early and try to dictate the flow of the game that way.
Alex, you always talk about being the best version of yourselves. I know it's not perfect, but is this the best version of the offense that we've seen? Is this what we've seen over the last month, what this offense is supposed to look like ideally?
I think in so many ways, the 2 weeks of the craziness of the turnovers, I would tell you no, because that's like in the back of my mind, that's where I go back to when you turn the ball over, that's the number one way to get beat. If you took those 7 plays out over the last month, I would tell you there's still so much room to improve, and I say in the sense of situational football, and I can give you a ton of negatives, but I'll give you an example. The last scoring drive we go on, we throw the touchdown, we get a holding call to bring us back, and that's one of our best players on the entire team. It's Cole Best, doesn't need to hold, can just be better in his technique, and you put 7 more points on the board. Critical time in the game, you would say no. Critical because we're on the field and our starters are out there, and we get a touchdown off the board, forces a field goal. I mean, last week there was 2 stalled out drives that end up getting forced field goals, and both were mistakes by us. I would tell you we've gotten better on 3rd down. I think we've been better in our planning there. We've been better as we continue to grow within the offense with what Byron is comfortable with. I think the intermediate pass game has a lot of growth that needs to be made, and that's schematic on our end, and that's Byron growing, and that's the receivers understanding what's going on. I think our involvement of the tight ends has helped us grow drastically. I think we need to continue to grow there. There's a ton of growth areas in terms of operating, just the tempo and the mechanics of how we play and the efficiency on first down. I would tell you that's where we've made the biggest strides. We've had 3 pre-snap operational penalties in 3 weeks. I would tell you we've grown there tremendously. We've been really, really good in the red zone up until this past week, where we end up settling for 2 field goals. And now you're putting it, and we love Nico and trust Nico. I cringe when you put it in the kicker's hands to score points for you. And we got the best one in the country, and I feel great. I hate it. I hate it. Like, lose sleep over it. So I would tell you we're getting close, but there's still so much to continue to improve. And most of it is dictated by us. And by us, I mean the offense. But, you know, like Joey, every week presents its own challenges. Like, this defense is so different than what we've seen through the first 7 weeks. So now this preparation piece is so critical that we're able to coach it the right way. We're able to get the guys' vision to be the right way. We're able to get the quarterback to the right things. We're able to identify the right way up front on the O-line. Because if you don't, you're going to take a step back, and we have to continue to operate at a high clip, because the expectation and the standard for us is that we're the best offense in the country. And that can be gauged statistically, but truly that we're efficient, we maximize our possessions, and that we operate well on third down, in the red zone, and in special situations like 2-minute, 4-minute. Those are the areas where you see elite offenses. It's not that you just score a bunch of points, because you can kind of hide some things that way. It's that you operate well in the special situations, in the margins, as we talked about, where elite offenses operate really well. Third down, red zone, tight zone, goal line, 2-minute, 4-minute. Coming out situations, like all of those small situations are what make elite offenses happen, and I would tell you we still got to grow.
As you mentioned, USF hasn't beaten Memphis since 2016. Memphis has had a lot of success during that span, and Memphis and USF this year were 2 teams that were very expected to contend for the title. So is this a chance to make a big statement in this league, go up there and get a victory? You know what,
I think it's, the answer is going to be that it's the next one. I don't think you make statements in one game sets. I think you make statements by just being really, really consistent and playing to the best of your ability every week. But I do know it's our next one. It's the only one. And like I told our guys, there's no do-overs. There's no my bads. We got to go play elite high-level football, because as a program, we have to continue to show that we can do it week in, week out, week in, week out. And again, and I said what I said earlier, everybody's beat up, everybody's hurt, everybody's tired. It's the end of October, and you're playing meaningful football games. It's also really meaningful for Memphis. It's really meaningful for our conference, and I think it's meaningful nationally. Man, is this not everything that you hoped you would build up until this point? It's the only opportunity we have right now in front of us. I try as much as I can not to build up one game over another. You rest easy in the sense that you know that we've played in big games. And I would tell you, as we've gone through the year, it feels like each one has been big in its own way. And this one's certainly in the same breath. They're all critically important. I want our team, our program, the entire operation to continue to just work as hard as you possibly can to make sure that we never beat ourselves, and that we're able to go play at the highest clip we possibly can.
Alex, as more and more as you go along, it's pretty obvious that these games are more important than what can be ahead. How good is this team at just sticking to your process where it's one game at a time and not thinking about, wow, if we beat Memphis, this is a big deal. How good are they able to do that still? And do you think or do you think that gets into their system at all?
Yeah, man, if it's getting into their system, it's coming from somewhere else outside of our coaches' messaging, my messaging. I think we're mature enough to understand the situation, but these guys are 18 to 23, like 24, like they're young people. They got phones. They look at things. I feel like we got to manage the staff in the same way, where the only thing that matters is this week. Where I rest easy is it's a mature football team that up until this point, since January, has done what we've asked them to do. They've stayed the course. They've stayed focused. It hasn't been perfect. We've had letdowns. We've lived emotional roller coasters at times, but up until this point, they have shown to worry about right now, the moment, where our feet are, and being present in terms of meetings, practice, doing the extra work that's required to do it. And that's why I continue to hammer, and I have since the day I got here, and the message hasn't changed. We truly only worry about our process and our day-to-day. And because that's true, that's the only thing we worry about. There is no looking forward to anything. Because if you don't take care of business right now, then there's nothing to look forward to. And I think you can either put pressure on yourself in that regard, or you just go to work and worry about being the best version of you today. And then therefore there is no pressure, because all you can do is be the best you today. And I think elite football teams, that's how they operate. The really good football teams I've been a part of operate on a day-to-day basis, regardless of opponent, regardless of gauging any sort of situation. And what better proof do you need than what the team we're playing went through last week? And you say what you want, UAB played high-level football last week and was able to win a game against a team that was in the top 25. Is Memphis a worse team because they got beat by UAB? I mean, they're still the same team. They're still the same players. It truly is a mindset that you can go take care of your business today, and only today matters. And I'm up here talking about what Saturday brings and all that. Like, our guys, they just know that they better be on the jugs here for the next half hour to make sure that every ball that hits their hands is caught. Like, that's all they know. And then they'll go get treatment. They'll go get lunch. They'll go to class, or they'll sit in front of a computer for class, whatever they got, and then they'll be back this afternoon, and we're going to go clean this up, and we're going to worry about third down, tight zone, special situations tomorrow morning, and then we'll worry about whatever comes when it comes. And if that can be the mindset, then we'll have a chance.
Do you think what happened to Memphis last week can serve as a cautionary tale to this team, that this is what happens if you don't do these things you're talking about? This is what can happen, even with a poor team.
I mean, I would imagine so. We don't talk about it that way. We watched the end of that game as a full team in our Monday morning meeting, simply to be able to coach the special situation that came up at the end of the game. 2-minute drive, and the few things that killed their 2-minute drive to be able to go score to win the game. In the same breath as we watched the Bengals 2-minute drive from last week, that situation that came up in the game, we watched the UMass Buffalo. There was a personal foul at the end of the game that caused that game to Buffalo to win that, like, in the same breath. So our guys are aware. They watch the film. They're seeing what's out there. I don't know that how they handled the game last week has anything to do with how we would handle the game. I would tell you this, like, you better be ready to rock every single week in college football. You guys obviously all follow it. Like, as I see it, anybody can win at any point, and it truly is a week-to-week thing because of the emotions of these young guys, the prep of these young guys, and honestly, the BS that's out there sometimes that's taking away from the focus that it really is required to go win football games. And I don't mean even in a media sense. I mean just like these guys are living a life, like from what goes on in their families to what goes on in the classroom, their relationships with their girlfriends. Some guys are married, some guys got kids. Like they got everyday problems too, and I'm fighting like crazy to just shut it all out and try to worry about what's happening today. And elite football teams that have elite leadership can do that. We're still learning and fighting like crazy to make sure that that's who we are.
The turnovers that you guys have been able to create, how much of that can be credited to the harassment and chaos created by the defensive front that you guys have recruited and brought in?
Yeah, I think it's been a really valiant effort on every side of the defense. Certainly the front, I think we've done a really good job of creating blitz packages that allow the quarterback to get affected. I think we've done a really good job of identifying who, like I came up, I know in an offensive sense, players, formations, plays, it's the same exact thing defensively. It's players first. Like you gotta, one, put your best 11 out there, but two, and dictate your scheme around those guys. And in situations where you can affect the quarterback, like who is doing certain things, who is pressuring, who is covering, who is spying. I think we've done a really good job this year of identifying who is doing what, and being able to affect the quarterback certainly helps. I think the ability to disguise defensively, in terms of giving quarterbacks different pictures, down to down, and creating havoc that way. But certainly we've gotten better up front. We've gotten better in terms of who is doing what, finding matchups that you like. But I think it's been a complete group effort. I know I've said this before. I think turnovers defensively happen because guys are around the football. I mean, Rico Watson's interception happens because he is around the football. There's pressure on the quarterback, but he is turned and sprinting to the ball. Good things happen when you are around the football. And I think effort takes care of that in a lot of ways. That's how you're able to not just force fumbles, but scoop and score fumbles, but certainly interceptions in that breath too. But yeah, the front has done a good job, but I think schematically putting people in the right spots. Like you look at a guy like Mack, who's been able to create sacks. Part of that is scheme. Part of that is that he's coming more often. And we're finding matchups. We've said, man, Mack is one of our best pass rushers. He's got to be in pass rush situations. And I think that's coaching, scheme, but you're only as good as your last one.
You mentioned being beat up. We saw Jacob Merrifield and Alvin Isaac go down in the game. Is there any update on their status for this upcoming game?
Sure. Yeah, Jacob is fine and Alvon's fine.
Okay. And then, sorry. Mike, you mentioned Mike Williams is coming back this week. What's your expectation for him, and what are the challenges that you face kind of plugging in a player who hasn't played with this defense with such a successful defense that has already been playing this year?
Yeah, well, Mike's been practicing for a while. It's just been a matter of him building up physically the ability to go play. And I don't know how much he'll play, but he was in full pads today, like just itching. Mike's such a neat young guy, man. Like, and he's gone through a bunch from an injury standpoint that he just continues to overcome. Mike loves football. Mike brings a really cool energy to the sideline. He's traveled with us the last couple of weeks. Brings a really cool energy to the defense. Obviously, as a player, there's a pass rush component, but there's also a physicality and a level of violence he plays with that man, you'd love to have back out there at this point. But he's grown so much as a leader. He's grown so much maturity-wise in his game. He creates position flexibility for us. He's played inside. He's played outside in some pass rush packages. He's another mismatch guy that we've missed tremendously this year. But I think beyond any of that, the way he approaches practice, games, like he is a high-energy, I smile when I talk about Mike because I love the passion and the energy Mike plays with. He wreaks havoc in every way. It's going to take him time to incorporate back in. He was in full pads today, rocking and rolling. He's just beyond geek to go. I think he gives us some depth there where that we hadn't really had at that DN spot all year, and guys have stepped in and done a really good job. But I'm really excited to see him go. And he's going to have to knock some rust off, just like anybody would. He hadn't played in a football game in almost a year, 11 months. So it'll take him a second, but he's preparing and working like crazy to make sure he's the best version of him Saturday.
Why do you think Jarvis Lee has matured into such an important part of your defense?
Jarvis Lee, I think because of his mentality and because of his work ethic and his approach, Jarvis, man, you talk about a young guy that's, I don't know, maybe grown as much as anybody in our program. We were just talking the other day. I remember driving Jarv on his official visit from downtown to up here and to campus, and he wouldn't talk to me. Just sat there. He bottles up a lot. He's had it really, really tough, and I think there was a point where he figured out that he's going to pave his own path for his future, and he works that way, he prepares that way, he studies film that way, and as he's come out of his shell, he's become an incredible leader. He's become a high energy guy, on top of growing so much at that position. Man, that position does so much for us, from covering and man to pressure to being able to play in the middle of the field to the deep half. Like, man, and what he's done on the perimeter, the amount of plays that he's forced to be negative, the amount of turnovers he's been around and forced, more than anything, I'm so proud of that dude, man. Like he's a huge reason why you get into coaching, because a young guy that came in as this quiet kid with a ton of built up anger at the world, he's thriving. That dude's going to be so successful, both in football and in life, because he's learned that I can accept help, I can help others, and that dude just continues to pour into his process. And as he's played more and more, he's continued to pour into his teammates. He's a special dude, man. Like, he's a special football player, but he's a special young man, and he plays on special teams for us. He does so much. Selfless, hungry, elite teammate, elite worker. He's like one of my favorite human beings in this building.
Alex, last week you referenced Reverend Lane, and you mentioned him again Saturday night. If you could talk about how impactful or meaningful it is to have such a gentleman around the program, not only for yourself, but the program as a larger picture, too.
Yeah, Rev is today told me a story about was it J.R. Reed in 2003, 2002, the game he had at Memphis. I'm like, man, he's my historian. No, he's the best link we have, and I have the best resource I have to the history of this program. I ask him a lot of questions when it comes to how was this, like, who do I need to talk to for this, on top of being more than just a spiritual leader amongst our team, the former players. He's wise beyond my years, I know that, but he's here every day. He's here for our guys. He's here for me, and I ask him all the time, like, man, did I take that too far? He's like, maybe just a little too far, but he's like, I'll keep praying for you, and I appreciate that. We all need it. Now he's just as wholesome of a human being as there is. Never has asked for anything from us. He just wants to continue to give and serve, and on top of being just an incredible man of God, he's here for our players. You just see him before practice, after practice, during practice. These guys have connected with him in an incredible way, and he's got life examples of guys that have been in these guys' shoes that he continues to share stories of, and just the wisdom he brings. And he talks to our guys all the time, but I love our Friday night messages because they're so relatable to where we are, and there's certainly a faith component to it, but he is a big-time leader in our building for our players and our staff.
Coach, besides the scoreboard, when you look at stats you want to win, turnovers, time of possession, but the last 4 games you are playing so fast, efficiently, your defense and special teams are creating scores. It's almost become meaningless. How important is it to get the ball and score quickly and look at the scoreboard and go, wow, how do we do this? They got 40 minutes, we got 20.
I feel like you're messing with me right now. Leo, why are you messing with me? I've been cordial. Yeah, the biggest stat is points per possession, and always has been. We got to create possessions, and then we got to score points within those possessions. And then when they have possessions, they got to not score points in their possessions. And at the end of the day, Leo, if you got one more than they do, you win the game. And I'm being facetious, but I'm also not at all, actually. We've done a really good job of creating extra possessions. We got to continue to do so. We've done it defensively, but we've also done it on special teams, as you mentioned. And last week is a great example. You know, we've practiced that bunt kick for a while. What they presented on kickoff return gave you a chance. And I think you have to be willing, as the head coach, you got to be willing to take calculated risks. You can't be reckless and you can't be an idiot, but you have to take calculated risks at certain times in the game. And in my mind, going into that game, I said if we were up 2 scores, I was going to try to get the possession. It was going to be on our sideline, and I was going to try to get the extra possession. Especially if you're playing well on defense, you feel like you can do that. And in truth, like that kick, if it got recovered by them, that's a 10-yard swing from the 25 to the 35. It's not a big deal. So you're going to try to create possessions. If you're creating them defensively, man, that's huge. But if you can steal one on special teams every now and again, we'll certainly do that. You've seen us do that over the last couple of years where if you feel like you need to, you will. It presented us an opportunity last week. The big part is when you get the extra possessions, you also can't turn the ball over. And the North Texas game is a great example. We had 16 possessions in that game. Well, 4 of them we gave back. Well, or 3 of them. 3 of them we gave back. Well, that's a waste of possessions. So it's points per possession, and then the time of possession itself. I actually think we're not last in the country anymore, so there's something to write about, bro.
Alex, obviously coming into the season, we had high expectations for Byron, but he is playing at such a high level right now. Has he done anything that even you look at and you go, wow, he exceeded my expectations on this?
I don't know if I would say exceeded expectations. I would tell you his own expectations are higher than anybody can ever put on him. We sit down every week on Sunday and Monday and just talk through how he felt he did and the areas where he can grow, and I give him my 2 cents. I would tell you where he's exceeded expectations is the mental side of it. He's in such a incredible headspace. He's so confident. His process is down to a T. I mean, we had some recruiting stuff Sunday because we had official visits here, but he beat us all in the office Sunday, and he continues to point that out to me. He's so competitive. He's so high-end with his process. I would tell you Gaston Moore has been incredible for him as another guy that's a veteran and has been through college football at a high level for a long time. Those 2 guys are attached at the hip. They make each other better. They've grabbed McLaughlin, and he's now learning from them, which is exactly how you want it to be in a program. But to answer your question, I would tell you he's continued to be really confident. He's not perfect. He's got a ways to go in terms of elite level execution, both in the pass game and the run game and seeing things. But he is continuously getting better. He's done such a good job of, 1, developing as a passer, but 2, being able to understand situational football. He's done a better job of creating with his feet and then getting down when he needs to, or be able to jumpstart momentum when he needs to. But it's all a credit to the way he works, the way he prepares physically, what he's been able to do with his body. That's high-end high-end work ethic throughout a year. That's not just the last couple of weeks. So he's reaping the rewards of that. But in this game, just like in this profession, you're only as good as your last game, and he would tell you that.
Coach, every game is meaningful, but with every win, it becomes more meaningful. How important is it to keep the players focused next game and turn that outside noise off?
Yeah, I would tell you they're all meaningful. I don't know if the next one is more meaningful than any other of them. The next one's the only opportunity you got. That's what I was saying earlier. Like the focus level on this week, and really more than anything today, is the only thing that matters. Like I said earlier, you only got one opportunity right now, and it's this one. And there's no do-overs. There's no my bads. There's no excuses. It's right here, right now. That's why I stand at the entrance. They jog out to practice. I ask each one of them, where are you at? They'll all tell you right here, right now. It's the only thing that matters. It's where I'm at, right here, right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Go Bulls. Oh, here you go, Segrist. Got a little duct tape. That's big time. That's as power 4 as it gets right there.
Power 4 duct tape.
Yes. All right, right tackle Connor McLaughlin.
Hey, Connor, of course, your first season here. Can you talk about the brotherhood? A lot of the guys we've talked to during the course of the season so far, how tight everybody is, the brotherhood that exists. Can you speak to that extent?
Yeah, obviously camaraderie is a pretty common theme across all O-lines, but especially this one. And I knew some of the guys coming in. I think I mentioned this before, but Zane Herring I was familiar with. I met him back in high school. Thomas Schrader, knew the name. And just some other dudes that I'd heard about. McLaughlin that I've become really close with. So it's been really good. You know, there's a lot of people my age, which you wouldn't expect as a 6-year, but it's been really good. You know, I see a lot of people that I can connect with, and it's been able to pull us a lot tighter, and I feel like as the weeks have gone on, as the years gone on, we've gotten a lot closer as a unit.
And those guys that you just mentioned, I guess it was you knew them, but I'm sure they made you a part of the program right away, correct? And if you can
Right.
speak to that, how your comfort level with them.
For sure. You know, I knew that to some extent I wanted to come home to have that sense of comfort just for my family, and I feel like I wasn't diving into something completely foreign, but it's tough transferring. You know, you're in a whole new environment, whole new classes. Had a pretty sweet LinkedIn post about it if you want to check it out. But yeah, so I knew that having those guys, and those dudes really looked out for me. Like Mike comes to mind, Cole Best, Derek Bowman, pretty much everyone my age, especially in the O-line room, always looked out for me, kind of showed me the ropes. And not that I was like a troublemaker or anything, but you know, there's a lot of different things going on, and help get me in the right direction and teach me how it goes here.
It seems like a team that really enjoys being around each other. They can't wait to take the field to play with each other and play for each other. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, very accurate. And I think that's something Coach Golesh hit on last week is in today's day and age, like the NIL era, it's hard to get people on the same page. A lot of different things pulling you different directions. And it's been really impressive that the staff and the team has really been able to pull it together and unify and create some continuity across the board. So it makes it a lot easier to play, and it's also a lot more enjoyable.
I'm sure you did your homework on this offense before you came here, but is it even faster than you envisioned or anticipated?
You know, I feel like we go a little faster in practice just to create that stimulus for the games. And when we do really get it rolling, you'll feel it, and it's fast. But you know, you practice it so much, and we've practiced it so much here that I kind of got used to it. At first, it was kind of like jumping right in and trial by fire, and then it just slowed down over time. And now I feel pretty accustomed to it, and it's just once you get used to it, I feel like you can't really think any other way. So
When it's revved up, when it's clicking, do you guys have a set amount of time between snaps that you want to go, like, we're going to run every 10 seconds? Do y'all have a set number?
I don't think there's a set number. I mean, they always show us the Ricky Bobby clip of I want to go fast, so as fast as possible. But yeah, you know, always following the line judge, doing what we can to get that ball set, get aligned, and go as quick as possible.
We know that your offense still isn't perfect, it's work in progress. But in the last 4 games, your low point total is 48. That's a lot of points, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot, you know, like you said, there's a lot of room for growth, and I feel like we're making strides every week, which is the important part. And if we keep going in the upward direction, I think we're going to end up in a really good spot by the end of the season.
When you mentioned that the NIL era and how more and more difficult it is to have that brotherhood, that camaraderie that you spoke of, what do you attribute that to? You mentioned the staff, but also maybe veteran leadership, or how do you look at that, Connor?
Yeah, I think all those pieces play a big role into it. Obviously, it starts from the staff when they recruit guys to be like, is this the right type of person for the program? And then the guys have to really gel with each other too. But just spending time around the guys. I mean, obviously we're in the building a lot doing football stuff, but whether it's getting lunch on the weekends or, you know, doing an O-line dinner or something like that, and then just team-wide activities too. That's something we really hit home during the summer, whether it's paintballing or other activities. But I think it goes most to every Thursday that we did something. So by the time we were in camp, we were all pretty familiar with each other, and it wasn't hard to be around each other all the time. It more felt like how you'd feel around like your brother or sister, well, brother, but.
There were a lot of McLaughlins in Raymond James on Saturday night, were there?
Yes, big support group, travel big, so.
You just alluded to this. When a play is whistled dead, what's you guys' jobs offensive lineman? You said look to the line judge. What do y'all have to do next?
Just find the ball and get set as quick as possible in the simplest terms.
And that call Saturday night, disconcerting signals, did you detect anything coming from their sideline or anything like that?
You know, usually guys on defense will clap or like yell like move. I'm not going to do it full volume, but yeah, you know, you can kind of pick up on it, and you really have to key into the quarterback's clap or the quarterback's voice. And that's something, like I said, it's part of that familiarity process where when you're around somebody for long enough, you get that kind of really keyed in tone to what they sound like. So you've got to lock in and really hear the right voice or clap.
And it was coming from them, their defense, and not their sideline.
I wasn't sure, to
Okay.
be completely honest.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
You guys have been over 250 yards rushing in the last 4 games, and like you said, your lowest point output is 48. What has been kind of the change for you guys that's allowed you guys to be so effective as an offensive line and a running back room in the rushing game?
I think it's just wanting to grow every week, like just continually challenging ourselves. You know, if we have a good week, it's how can we be better the next week instead of hanging our hats or resting on our laurels. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's the theme for all good teams is like how can we get better every week. So
You spoke about. You can go ahead.
Go ahead.
You spoke about Teddy Roosevelt before. Can you kind of speak to why he matters to you or why he's important to you?
yeah, you know, I think everyone should have a hero. When I was growing up, my dad's hero was always Winston Churchill, and you know, of all the presidents, I've always really liked Teddy Roosevelt. I loved to fish growing up, and having that conservation background, I was always really pulled to that. The national park system, and I know very little about art, but his commissioning of Albert Bierstadt and his relationship with Bierstadt is really cool to me. And I had a chance to take, it was like a history of the American West class at one of my junior or senior years at Stanford, and we looked a lot into Bierstadt, and it really kind of just picked back up my interest in him. And I go on and on. I'm not going to keep it here all day about my Theodore Roosevelt facts, but
How does that kind of impact you as a player?
yeah, you know, kind of that rough rider, bull moose mentality. Like, he's just a guy that, you know, I look up to my parents too. I don't want to make sure that they get their roses, but yeah, it's kind of that mentality of like keep chugging along. Like he literally got shot and kept going along. So it's that mentality of just keep chugging along, and how can you lead and, you know, speak softly, carry a big stick. I'm not the most vocal guy at times, but how do you do the right thing when people are and not watching?
You talk about camaraderie. When Cole scores a touchdown, does it feel like that's one of our guys that just got in the end zone?
Yeah, there's nothing better than a Skinner touchdown. I think the whole team feels that, and that's been really fun these past couple of weeks. So hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Cole. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the patience. Nice job. Good answer on Louisville. All right, Sean Rucker, current fourth on team in tackles. Big questions.
Deshaun Connor was asked about the brotherhood here that seems to really prevail, that atmosphere of brotherhood, the togetherness, having each other's back. He's only been here, you know, this 1 year. You've been here longer, of course. Can you speak to how that really prevails within your locker room?
Oh, yes, sir. So I can speak from being here from last year, as in that brotherhood has increased tremendously. And I think in today's age of football, like, that's hard to find. With like the transfer portal, you got different guys coming in, not really trusting each other, but we have fun with each other everywhere we go, outside of just here. And I think that's pretty big with what we do. And the coaches harp on it, and not even just them, but us as a brotherhood. When we're on the field and we're going hard, it's different when you're going hard for somebody else. So when you're on the field and you're tired, but then you look beside you, and I'm looking at the safety and I see Fred, like, it just makes me want to go harder. So I think that's what pushes us that extra mile, especially when you're in the fourth quarter. Everybody just let's finish for each other and hold that standard.
And of course, you were here, you were in Tennessee with Alex, but when you arrived here, who were some of the players that made you feel welcome right away?
I mean, honestly, everybody. I think a lot of the leaders, obviously, I connected with R.J. Perry immediately since he was at Tennessee, but I think that defensive room, a lot of people that was here, like Barry Hill wasn't here. Obviously, it was AB, but I think, like, the offensive side, which kind of sparked me. So, like, Sean Atkins, when I was on the field with him, guarding him, and then Byron stepping up, making a relationship. Our relationship has grown tremendously. So just seeing both sides of the ball step up and help me, I think that's what helped me connect. Because when I first got here, I was kind of quiet. Didn't really talk to nobody, tried to just make it kind of like business at the end of the day. But they showed me tremendous love on both sides of the ball, and it's helped me show love to people that's come in as well.
When you guys go good on good out there, what's the biggest challenge facing that offense as fast as it goes?
The biggest challenge, I think, is that tempo, like getting lined up, and I think that helped us for this for the past game with FAU, seeing how fast they go. We didn't really blink at all. It was just go play like we're playing our offense, and they help us dial in a lot. So that tempo, if you're not in the right spot at the right time, like they just hike it, they could go, and it could be a big explosive. So all credit to that offense going against them. They help us for a lot of games and things like that.
What stands out to you about Memphis offense?
I think they have a good receiving core. I think it's one of the best that we've going to face this year. I like how aggressive they play. I think the run game, they try to lean on the run game, so they're an aggressive team, and we like that. And I think the biggest thing that also sticks out is they're not going to give up. You can see that on film. Obviously, when they played Arkansas, they were down like 28-10, and then they all rallied back and came back. So we're just expecting a dogfight all the way to the end with that team.
As fast as your offense goes at practice, when you get into a game, how nice is it to look out and go, let's get 10, 15 more seconds here for us to get ready?
It changes the game a lot. It helps us, obviously, like recuperate, gives us self a break, and we're able to communicate a lot more. But going against our offense, like, we got to communicate fast. We got to recognize things a lot faster. So even when we're going against slower teams, I think we recognize a lot more things faster when they're going slow, so it helps us dial and preload things that we need.
Coach mentioned that you guys are preparing for 3 quarterbacks this week with not sure who's going to start. What kind of challenges does that present you guys in this week leading up to the game that you wouldn't have in a normal week?
I don't think it's too many challenges. I think just going into it, you just got to see how they all move. So you might have one that's mobile, so scramble drill is more important. And then obviously just seeing like where the quarterback wants to look. Some of them might have tendencies on where they want to go. So just being able to have the whole field covered, I think if everybody does their part, it really doesn't matter about what the quarterback wants. If we're there, it doesn't really matter.
Everybody talks about home field advantage, but for the defense, it's a little tougher because it's getting loud in a hurry. How hard is it to communicate? Is it basically sign language out there?
It can get hard. I think a lot of the times we do have signals where we talk to each other, but obviously a big thing is where, like Coach Rowe likes to call it, he says you got to use your daddy's voice. So you got to be loud and vocal and make sure that communication is clear to the person you're talking to so they can hear you.
Connor spoke about how Teddy Roosevelt is one of his heroes. Do you have a specific hero yourself?
Yeah, so we spoke about this. I think my hero specifically was my granddad or my mom. I just think they showed me the right way to have the right work ethic, and they've been pushing since I was born, and that's all I've seen, so I'm going to just keep pushing as well.
Thank you, Rucker.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.